Hello, I'm Jay. This is episode 3 of Music Marauders Live. We're live from Denver, Colorado, and today we actually have a really good episode. I'm pretty stoked about this one. We are celebrating 10 years of Music Marauders, and we'll be talking about kind of the history of Music Marauders and kind of how we got to where we are now. Where are we?
It's a celebration, that's where we are.
Oh, okay.
It's a celebration of 10 years of, I guess, collaboration, trying to expand the scope of understanding in the realm of music and what we do on a national scale. I think it's amazing to think how far we come in just that short amount of time.
I feel really good about it.
Yeah?
I feel really good about it.
I think you should.
Yeah, we've got a lot of fun. We got a room full of folks that we've met through this whole deal, which is actually probably, for me, the biggest highlight of doing this is meeting so many passionate music fans and partying with those folks and getting to know them. And we meet people from all over the country. We've got some friends in from Austin, Texas today. Austin in the house. All right, yeah, all right. And they brought mimosas, which is sweet, and bacon from Austin. From Austin.
San Antonio, technically, but
San Antonio. Okay, we have San Antonio bacon too in the house. All right, so let's kind of kick it off talking about how Music Marauders got started 10 years ago, since we are, I think, 3 weeks from our actual anniversary date for a decade. I was a broke hippie, and not much has changed in 10 years. And I was living in upstate New York and couldn't afford to go to shows, and so I tried to come up with a creative way, and I think that's kind of probably how a lot of us got into this whole thing. I was trying to think of a creative way to be able to go to these shows without having to pay the ticket prices to get in, because I, again, was broke. A couple joints later, and I came up with the idea of starting a company that would cover these shows and take pictures and interview artists. Started with a ton of artist interviews with some of my favorite musicians who I had already befriended throughout my travels. And obviously, upstate New York isn't the best or perfect place to start a music website necessarily in this scene. So I came to in my opinion, the best place for this kind of music that we cover, and that's Denver, Colorado.
You tell that to Pete Mason. He's doing all right up there.
Actually, a lot of folks are doing all right up there, and it's not a shot at that scene. Well, maybe it's a little bit of a shot at the scene. It's not a big shot. No shots fired. But I do think that Denver, Colorado was that. Me moving here was what kind of fueled this thing, and I met you.
Well, specifically the time frame and when you moved here, because I think that says a lot. I mean, you moved out here, what year, 2007?
No, actually, that's actually in 2010, I think, the same year I started Music Marauders, I moved out here.
So 2010. So I think that, 2010, Colorado was pretty ripe for the picking. I think it's a little bit oversaturated now with coverage and the type of things that we do. But at the time, I think that you were kind of an innovator out here. And certainly I was
without intention. I mean, didn't know what I was doing.
Most innovators are without intention. But as I was getting into, some innovators are
innovators are without intention.
Innovators. All right, let's pull all that back. Anyway, so I think when I met you, I think that's a fun point to talk about too. It was around 2011, 2000. What was that? When did Mo play in Breckenridge? Was that 2012?
Somewhere around there, because it was 11. It had to be, because we started our original podcast in
2011.
2011.
So we met up in there in the spring of 2011 at Mo in Breckenridge, and we had just kind of been chatting online, and you were kind of trying to get the ball rolling out here. And for quite a while, I mean, you can think of some of the early contributors that were with you before me. A lot of them sort of fell off the wayside at some point, and it was just me and you for quite some time.
And I think that's just a natural thing, and that's from my experience, is people come and go, they have good intentions of contributing, some enjoy it, some find they don't enjoy it, and we've had a revolving door of great people and great perspectives throughout the 10 years, and I'm grateful for that.
But people do come and go.
I can't shake.
Yeah.
You've been here for way too long.
I know. I might retire.
That said, I've got some paperwork I need you to sign. It says exit paperwork, but it doesn't mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, later.
Yeah, we'll do the review.
Anyway, so I think that was an interesting point for both of us to meet. I was sort of on the cusp of trying to get deeper into this scene. As far as getting into shows for free, that was, I was going broke going to concerts, but that wasn't, I think it took me another year or two to figure that out from there.
It was surprising to me how many people said, yeah, we'll give you tickets to come to the show if you write about it or take pictures. I was like, are you sure? And I think maybe some of those people regretted it early on.
Well,
not necessarily for the quality, but maybe for the perspective, which for me at least was very young, and I was very critical of a lot of bands, which I still am. But I don't output it. I feel like I used to. And MusicMarauders used to be a very critical. Go read some of the old reviews. Sorry to anybody who I offended.
You know, and I think as people that, you know, it's funny, it's people that cover this type of scene and you write critically, you're eventually going to find yourself in the backseat of a car or with somebody that you wrote a shitty review about. That's happened.
Oh God, I have so many stories.
Just an hour in the car on the way to Red Rocks, and the guy, he knows who you are the second he gets in the car, and it takes you about 20 minutes.
It's that like 30-second silence that's broken with the clearing of the throat and. Yeah, you wrote a review once. Oh God. I will say though, I was grateful and surprised at how open the doors were to us by the bands, by the publicists, by the managers, by the venues, by the promotional companies to allow us to come in and write about and photograph some of these experiences, which was and is the bulk of what we've done in 10 years.
And continue to do. I mean, now, if you want to talk about a then and now type perspective, you're talking about a network of over 50 contributors all across the country, bringing in some amazing talent. We'll talk to some of those people today. You know, and it's built into something where I think the MusicMarauders name or brand or however you want to describe it is just a name that you trust, because if we show up, we're going to produce some content from your show, we're going to write about it, we're going to share the good words, so to speak, and I think that's what bands and managers and publicists and people have come to know and love about MusicMarauders in general.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody who has opened a door for us, and thank you to everybody who's read our content or continues to read our content. We're grateful for the opportunity to cover these experiences and have these experiences ourselves.
Absolutely.
I've got in my notes the future of MM, and I feel like I thought I would have something to say about the future of MM, but the more I reflect on it, I really have no clue what's next or where we're going. I don't think I ever did. I'm no captain of this ship, and I think that we're kind of the sum of the parts, and you know, I hope we end up covering a lot more. I know my inbox is full of folks who are looking to get involved. If you have a pending email about contributing to MusicMarauders, stand by. We'll follow up.
We're doing a podcast.
We are doing a podcast now. That is part of that evolution too, which we also did a podcast in 2011, which I think we're a little ahead of our time on that. Yeah. But it's cool, and I'm grateful to have these conversations in a room full of folks from all over here to share in this and have mimosas. There's bagels in the kitchen too, if I didn't tell anybody, help yourselves.
well, cheers, man. Happy anniversary, dude. It's a long,
cheers
long
to you,
haul,
sir.
Dude.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We're going to jump into New Year's Eve show coverage. Part of this conversation is going to involve couch tour because some of us are getting a little bit older.
A little bit.
Maybe that's no excuse.
A lot a bit older, all right?
I feel like I'm 100.
Well, that's the funny thing about couch tour, because the technology keeps advancing. I felt like I was in the fucking Minority Report. I was like, whoo, whoo, oh, there's fish, whoo, there's fucking Billy Strings, oh, it's set break, let's check out fucking leftover salmon, whoo. It was like pretty fucking awesome. So I was like Tom Cruise on my couch.
How about that leftover stream?
That was rough stuff, guys. I'm sorry that happened. I do feel like it was a popularity issue. They were probably having some tech stuff. And then just the level and number of people that were trying to get on that stream, people that maybe didn't pay for the fish stream or whatever were trying to get on the free stream.
It was a free stream.
It was a free stream. So
on Facebook.
It probably got bogged down.
Cool.
And they were probably having issues. I will say this, if you go back and listen to the second set, it's clean.
It did clean up, I will say that for sure. Who else was streaming live? You said you watched Fish. Did you watch all of the nights? Or
I watched all 4 nights of Fish. Are we doing Fish news? We can keep it brief. Or are we talking about New Year's?
No, let's just talk about New Year's real quick.
So specifically for New Year's, Fish. the fish from Vermont.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's later on under fish news, eh?
Well, specifically.
Well, just give me your perspective of how at least the stream went for you.
I thought the stream for Fish is always amazing. They have one of the best technical crews in the entire industry. Anybody who's listened to that Dean Budnick Long May They Run podcast, they talk at length about how the crew developed from Nugs and from Live Fish and how all that stuff happened. So super interesting if you're into that kind of nerdy stuff. But as far as Fish goes, musically it was a lot of fun. They debuted a couple of songs the first night. If you were playing along on the set list, they spelled out End 2020 for the first three songs. Show included an ass-handed reprise to the tune of Chalk Dust Torture, Guy Forget references.
Can I ask you, are you like stoked when they spell out like a word? Are you like,
Absolutely.
oh my god, I figured it out?
So yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing I think for Fish fans that are really nerdy about that kind of stuff. If you can catch it in real time as it's happening, you're like, oh shit, you know? But the other thing about it is that it's because when they get jazzed up, we kind of get jazzed up. So like that's the thing. Like when they're excited, we're excited, and I think when they're having fun, we're having fun, and Brad can hop in on this at any point. Night 2 included some a couple of bust outs, Beauty of a Broken Heart, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. That was a 234 show bust out. Night 2, couple of bust outs, and then it had that crazy Tweezer Ruby Waves, steamed Tweezer Ruby Waves, which lasted like 3.5 days. I'm not sure how long that lasted.
I saw that video. There was video footage of that they put out that was really awesome.
It was pretty amazing. During that show, they were referencing the pan flute, the Zamfir guy hitting him in the head with a pan. Again, this is total silliness, but it was a setup for, and again, that joke may have fell flat, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about Fish. If they try something, at least they tried something. No other, like, bands aren't doing this shit, you know what I mean? And that brings me to night 4, New Year's Eve. All right, I'm getting crowded here.
Before you go.
Quick question. What's a bust out?
A bust out would be a song that they haven't played in over 100 shows.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not up on the lingo.
That's a bust out.
You're new to jam, I take it. You don't. Grateful Dead used to do this too. They would not play a song for 30 years and then play St. Stephen or some shit.
Jam.
Anyway.
So, Brad, would you watch the show on
I
your
also
couch?
streamed.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
also streamed from my couch
Okay.
with my kids and all that fun stuff. It was really a good run. I personally liked 12:30 probably the most. I felt like obviously the tweezer from that night was outrageous. It was like 35 minutes long and open second set, so people wondered if they were even going to play anything else.
Well, the great thing about Fish is it's one of those situations where if you say, what song are they still playing? That's when you know you're having a good time. You're like, are they still playing fucking Tweezer?
I call that the soup.
Yeah.
Once you get into the soup, it doesn't even matter what they're playing, and that's the best thing about it for me.
Super nerdy conversation.
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyway, on to New Year's.
Yeah, let's continue New Year's. I'll give you a quick recap. Obviously, they tried to put the punchline on the Zamfir joke by having this Richard Glasgow, which is a guy who used to work with the band, appear on stage holding a pan flute. Again, I don't think it was all that funny, but the band was cracking up, so we all had a good time. That was early in was that first set or second set? I'm not sure. And then they did it for the third set. Their prank involved the band coming out and singing a modified version of Send in the Clowns a cappella, which they had changed to Send in the Clones, which involved dozens of choreographed dancers coming out dressed like individual members. They were all color coordinated at that point. And the prank quickly went awry when Trey's platform malfunctioned, suspending him in the air. The band pressed on, with Trey maintaining that position for the remainder of the show. In fact, some people were saying they still saw him up there during the Knicks game the next weekend. I'm kidding.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, he was finally rescued at the end of the show. Literally, he played the entire show. They did not go down for an encore, obviously. And then he was rescued by some helpful stagehands via Fishman's platform, during which he improvised a new song called Rescue Squad. Online conspiracists have speculated that it was a gag, but again, Trey was playing a show last night in where was that?
Portchester, New York.
He was in Portchester, New York, basically trying to reaffirm that, in fact, it was not a gag and he was stuck on a platform.
Okay.
Master improvisers.
Can we now eliminate Fish news from the later segment of the podcast?
Yeah, I think
I
that's...
believe so.
Thank you.
Well, no, they just announced Atlantic City. Get on that shit. It's happening.
Now I can cross this out.
Now you can, yeah.
Well, you can revisit that in the news if you want.
Okay.
That's fine.
Felt good.
In regards to Couch Tour, I have in my notes, and this is a question I've been asking myself, and I'm a guy in my 30s, so I can only imagine how some of you guys are about to turn 40 or in your 40s. Or Ryan, you're almost 60.
Young buck.
Okay. You're in your 30s too? Okay. Oh, somebody's here.
Housekeeping!
Should we just play this as a natural segment? We should. Should he just be a walk-on?
Like you guys.
Hey, we're live right now, so why don't you just join us? Here we go. So you heard the doorbell ring, and so here, have a seat for a sec, buddy.
Right away. Okay. Hi.
Why not? You
Good
rang the
morning.
doorbell.
Okay,
Right? So,
I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
You don't have to be on for very long. We'll let you jump in there and get some coffee and stuff, and then jump back.
Welcome,
All right.
Jason.
How are you? Good to see you, man.
Cheers, brother.
Right on,
So
cheers.
I did want to just say, Jason just walked in the door, and he's going to be joining us throughout. He's going to. Sweet.
The giant shaka. Giant shaka? No? No, giant shaka.
It's allowed, I think.
You're welcome to do
Increases
that.
the vibes.
Yeah.
Like you go just shaka.
I'm
I just got
going.
back from Hawaii. So
Sweet.
You can go shaka.
You did just get back from
Yeah,
Hawaii.
you go shaka. You go face down instead of backside. Or you can just go giant shaka and increase the vibes exponentially.
It just elevated when
Yes.
you did that. I felt like
Better.
uplifting. I mean, that was awesome. Thank you
That's what
for
I do,
bringing
brother.
that. Yeah,
That's what I do, brother
That's why
man.
we had you on. I was like,
That's
we
right.
need to increase the vibes. How was Hawaii, bud?
Hawaii was amazing.
Yeah.
Out on Kauai and a much needed vacation, at the beginning of the year. And I caught up with Bill Nershi out there and
Yeah. Who?
his family. Dude with a beard that looks like Santa.
Okay.
I've seen
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Bill
I've seen
Turner.
that before.
Yeah. Cool.
Good guy.
Awesome. You want to go get some coffee, some bagels,
Is
chill
that what
out
we're
for a
doing?
second? Whatever
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
want.
we're gonna have,
You rang the doorbell, so it was natural to only bring
Pop it
you
in.
right
What
on.
part of the segment of the show are you
We're
on?
wrapping
Pretty
up New
early.
Year's real
Yeah,
quick.
we're
and,
pretty early. We've got 25 pages of notes here. It's a 6-hour deal
Just
that you committed to. So
Laura has already joined us as well. Thank you
Yeah,
for joining us.
awesome.
Laura.
Good.
You're welcome.
okay, so
join
yeah,
us
go
all.
ahead, jump in,
Bagels.
grab some coffee,
Bagels.
chill out for a sec. Yeah, get what.
Alright.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's some bacon too.
Texas bacon back there. It's amazing.
Thank you for your fish recap. That was over the top and unnecessary.
It was exciting.
as
I will
always.
mention that I did go out on the 29th at Separate to go see Circles Around the Sun with Scott Metzger. So I did actually see some live music, but
I was interrupted by the doorbell. Are we getting old? And the answer is, to me, yes, we are getting old, obviously. This was my first New Year's in, a decade, maybe more, that I stayed in. I actually watched CNN's New Year's coverage. It was like an acid trip. It was insane. They had Dead and Company on. The dialogue was unbelievably ridiculous. They referenced all these different drugs. It was...
Anderson Cooper and
almost unwatchable. But for somebody who does like intoxicants, I was very interested in some of the segments that were just kind of ridiculous, entertaining.
It did look like Bob Weir was being shined a spotlight, and he was just like,
Dude, they were so high.
that's crazy.
It was insane. Yeah, when Dead and Company was on, go watch that. That's on YouTube.
Just a couple quick notes on New Year's. Billy Strings had a streaker, except it was a prank.
Was it?
By a friend of the band who was wearing a skin-colored hypersuit. Thank God for the children. Leftover salmon at the Mission Ballroom. We did mention they did have some stream issues, although you can go back and watch the second half of that stream. It is online and it is available and it is great. Musically, from everybody that I've talked to who was there, Nancy, come over here for a second. You were at that Leftover Salmon show.
I was.
Come over, step to that microphone.
Here, let's do this one so
Oh,
she's
yeah,
on the
yeah.
stream. Here, have a seat for a second.
So, Nancy, just give us your quick 2-minute highlight from the Leftover Salmon show at the Mission Ballroom.
And go.
Oh, yay.
Did you enjoy the show?
I loved it.
Great.
It was fantastic. And
Did
I
they have a
love the
good
new
crowd?
Mission Ballroom. That place is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not a bad seat in the house. And not a bad seat in the house. And
Was there a good crowd?
it was a great crowd. It was not sold out, which for the band obviously wasn't great, but for the crowd it was, you could leave your spot and come back without, yeah.
I know they had
But
some
it was-
issues. They were selling tickets on Groupon and kind of that stuff
Yeah.
leading up to the show, but that's kind of a rough go. But that being said, Max Sabbath, care to comment?
Okay, yeah, that was kind of fun. I had never seen them, and I did not know who they were. I personally loved them because they were really photogenic. I mean, the guys all over the place. But I
Can you
was-
explain who Max Sabbath
it
is?
fit in, didn't it? Kind of with the whole McCheese.
It was crazy.
It was, yeah.
Max Sabbath, for those that are uninitiated, is the first fast food drive-through themed Black Sabbath cover band. Is that about right? I'm close. You nailed it. Okay. So just do yourself a Google. And no, there was an unannounced tweener set, and it added to the whole circus atmosphere of the entire event. So
It did.
photos look great, by the way, Nancy.
thank you.
What was your highlight, if anything, was?
After this.
I liked the circus collective group that came and were running around the whole place, and then during the show, kind of moving through the crowd so you could see the band playing with the guys on stilts, and I mean they were really good. I loved it. That brought it up another notch for me. So
It's fun to shoot stuff like that. Sweet.
it was
Daisy,
really fun. I loved it, and I love leftover salmon. So go figure.
30 years, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I haven't known them for 30 years, but.
No, but that was kind of what they're celebrating.
She
This was
wasn't
their
there in the
30 years
beginning.
under the Big Top show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
They loved it.
Well, sweet. I'm glad you were out there. Pictures
Yeah.
look great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for repping
Yeah,
for
I
us.
had so much fun. I love
Sweet.
it.
Yeah, those are on
Go Mission
MusicMarauders.com.
Ballroom. Yay.
We
It is
support
awesome
that
room.
message.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so check out Nancy's photos on MusicMarauders.com. Go to her Facebook page, Nancy Isaac Photography.
Ric Flair introduced Widespread Panic. I'll
Weird.
Stop. I'll
That's
stop.
weird. What?
I don't know. There, he was backstage. He gave it the full-on woo. Again, it's on the YouTubes. Ric Flair introduced Widespread Panic on New Year's Eve. You tell me why. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's fun, I guess,
I
right?
guess.
If they should have had. Okay, Brad's got some.
I think it's between Fish fans hating woos and Panic fans hating Fish. So they just
Everyone
took
already
the
yells
woo
at
to
me.
introduce
Anti-Fish
New
woo.
Year's Eve.
I appreciate that. That's
fair.
interesting.
Thank you.
We've got a special guest in house. Rob Drabkin is here, and he's going to play some guitar.
Hello.
Hey, Rob.
Good morning.
Welcome.
It's afternoon? No, it's morning.
I have no clue. I don't
It's
even.
morning.
Time's not a thing.
How are
Welcome.
you?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. Got my mimosa, my coffee. Why don't we? Let's start with a song. And then, yeah, let's start with a song. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
You good to go?
I'm okay.
Voice warm.
Sure. Hi. Hello. I'm very amused by this. Hi, I'm Rob Drabkin. This is You and Me. You and me, gonna chase the sun, gonna walk the moon, we're gonna see the light till the light is gone, step out of line, and we'll stand out a place, no fear in you, and no fear in me. You and me, gonna rule the world, gonna stand up tall, say no mores. You and me, gonna change the world with our open arms. We'll open doors, and I stand by you if you stand by me. You and me. Oh my God, where you been? I walk these hills, oh, and they never end. From the big sun to the midnight moon, no fear in me, no fear in you. You and me, gonna rule the world, gonna stand up tall, say no mores. You and me, gonna change the world with our open arms. We'll open doors, and I stand by you if you stand by me. So you and me, are you here with mama? You and me now. You and me. We go down, down, down. We'll go down swinging from the ground, ground, ground. We'll come up singing. Oh. stand by me. Good morning.
Yeah, all right.
Forgot you guys were there.
Pardon me. Sweet, dude. You're a beautiful person. I want you to know that.
You're a beautiful person.
Well, thanks, buddy.
Right back at ya.
Yeah, that was really amazing. There's something about your voice and your playing that, to me, it gives me goosebumps, dude. Yeah,
The key is
really-
to be fighting off a cold. That's the key.
Yeah, right. Because your voice changes. It's a little bit more fluid, right?
I was just taking bets. I'm like, am I gonna cough in this song? I might. It might happen. In which case, it's okay.
Yeah, it's loose here, right? So, how are things with you, dude?
Things are wonderful.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm here with you guys. How can it be better?
That's awesome. What's new with you? What have you been
An
up to?
album.
Out or coming?
It's coming.
Okay.
And it's exciting. I'm so excited about it. I haven't been this excited about an album. Partly because it's been a while since I put out like an actual full length album. I've done like the single thing, and the EP thing.
So what's a full length now? What does that
I
mean?
don't know what the number is. 8?
Is it
Maybe
8?
7? 8?
Sounds right.
I don't know. We're
What's
doing
it-
10. We're doing 10.
I was gonna say bonus is like 9 or 10.
Double digits.
Yeah, you're doing
Sweet.
good.
Double
digits,
digits.
good.
Legit.
When's that coming out?
We are looking at like early April.
Okay.
Late March.
Awesome.
But the first song just came out. That was not the first song that I just played. I just felt like playing that song because it sounded kind of fun.
What was that called again?
The one I just played is called You and Me.
So that song is very relevant to right fucking now.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Yeah. I was thinking that the other. We're hoping like in the next 2 weeks that song would come out.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
what's
I was
the
almost
strategy?
pushed, and I was like, we're on like the brink of war with Iran. I was like, we gotta put it out now. And then it de-escalated a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll change
So-
in 2 weeks.
Regardless, I
Give it
think-
2 more weeks. But regardless, 2020 years definitely feels like an appropriate song for 2020.
What's the strategy now? Is it like singles and then like a
don't
full
know,
album?
you know,
How does that work now? Do people buy albums? Are you going to have albums made? Are you gonna-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm so excited.
Okay.
We're gonna do the vinyl thing.
Oh, cool.
And we'll do the everything. But I think we're doing the strategy of like, we're gonna upload all the songs to all the digital places, up to Spotify and Apple Music and all those places, but release it one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like the first song comes out, and then all of a sudden it becomes a 2-song album, then becomes a 3-song album, a 4-song album, then all of a sudden it's like 10. So hopefully like people keep going back to the album, keep going back and we're seeing all the songs we just put out, as well as the brand new one.
Because I think people nowadays are treating albums more as like a body of work as opposed to a singular release at a point in time, because you really, in order to get kind of the most bang for your buck of putting the work of recording an album, you really have to kind of spread that out. And I'm seeing a lot more bands turning to like just single video releases to build out a following for the release of an album.
It's hard. It's like it's one of those things where like, especially as like kind of a being more in the up and coming scene, it's like you want to be taken seriously by putting out an album, but it makes so much more practical sense to put out singles and put out EPs and put them out in small chunks. So I don't know. I guess but we're doing both. So I mean, it's I think if we put out 10 songs all at once, in a week, everyone would be like, what?
Yeah, that's become unorthodox at
Yeah.
this point, just kind of releasing an album, I feel
So
like.
stretch out as long as it can, and yeah.
That's weeks and weeks of promo,
Weeks.
man. That's so much
It's gonna be
material.
a year-long release.
It's a year-long
I'm so
campaign.
excited.
I've seen that happen recently a lot. I would describe your songs as anthemic, unabashedly positive. How did you develop your style, Rob?
Ooh,
Did you have that written down?
God.
It's a question about.
Oh, that's good.
I think I've always just played music that has moved me. I don't know. So I feel like that's almost like inherently like who are you, Rob, as a human being? Who is my identity? And I feel like I'm playing songs that are true to that. And I guess that's how I've kind of grown my style. It's just being me. That's kind of a cop-out answer, but I mean, I just love, I play music that I love to play, and I've always done that, and, I try to be like my own #1 fan of my music, so that's, like, I'm just trying to be like, be true to myself, be the best of myself that I can be.
That's all you can do, man. Appreciate that. I got a couple of questions, and I'll let you jump back into
Please.
it.
You're prepared. I appreciate that.
How did New York City change your trajectory in life?
Damn, right back to that. That's like my pivotal moment of my life. This one little moment in New York.
Where does this fall in the timeline?
I bet this was 2006, just a few weeks ago.
No, I went to school and I got a degree in biochemistry and molecular biology, but music had always been a part of my life. I'd been playing guitar since I was like 10 and was always good at it. Like I was really good at guitar, and I got like a scholarship to play in the jazz band at school, and music was my number one love, but I never treated it as my number one love. So it was just, I think it was just, I just grew up as such an academic, and that was, my head definitely made that my first priority. But
Chemistry
my heart
is pretty sweet.
Chemistry's cool. This is so relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, my heart definitely put music as number one. And then, it was the first time I'd ever visited New York, and just being kind of immersed in, I don't know, it was just such an artistic culture. We were there visiting, my dad was a musician, still is a musician, but we were there visiting all of his old Berkeley friends who were, 60, 70 years old, still playing jazz every night in the clubs. And I just thought there was something just so inspiring about people who have pursued their dreams and their passion for so long. It didn't matter where it landed them, whether they were, busking out in the street or whether they were, playing in the biggest clubs in the world. It was just something inspiring about and just people just following their heart and doing what they love. And then for some reason we went to go see the Broadway musical Chicago, and I'm always bad at paying attention to musicals, and I was kind of daydreaming off. No offense to Chicago. I was daydreaming off, and it just kind of hit me that all of a sudden I really wanted to become a singer. And that was, I never sang a note in my life, and I was like 22, 23 years old. Me singing was never going to happen. I think it was the biggest challenge for me. I think I recognized that and was kind of intrigued by it being the biggest challenge. And then I was just so enamored with the idea of writing songs, and that being kind of just my like true identity. I felt like was going to be in music, and I was going to have to explore that, and that was going to be my biggest challenge ever. So that was kind of how New York put my whole music trajectory. Yeah, it was. Get me out.
Terrifying.
But yeah, that put my whole music trajectory into motion.
What brought you to Colorado?
I'm born and raised here.
So you're born here, you went to New York and then returned?
Yeah.
See.
I went to college in San Antonio. I was in college at the time. And then moved right back home when I wanted to start doing music, and moved into mom and dad's basement and started writing songs, and then started playing open mics and started getting gigs, and then it's been pretty much the same since then.
Sounds like a good life. Sounds great.
Well, I really appreciate your style and
Thank
your
you,
positivity. I think that what you bring to the musical scene of Colorado is so authentic, and it's so needed right now, because we have so many voices that are, bouncing around the subject and not really maintaining some of the positivity that we can really use right now. And I think that you are a big part of that.
Thank you,
so I
man.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I mentioned your name to the team, there was a level of excitement about having you in. So, yeah.
I was fucking pumped.
Namely Kevin. Yeah, Kevin was super stoked for sure.
Hi, Kevin.
So, would you do another song?
Yeah, I would love to. I was gonna tell you a little bit about that song. The song, the song I opened with is "You and Me," and I got to record. I recorded it in Rwanda and Uganda a couple months ago, and we did this crazy tour with where myself and a few different bands, but Michael Franti was one of the bands, and we were opening up for like the Jay-Z and Beyonces of Uganda and Rwanda. No one knew our music, and it was like the only way to survive these things was to collaborate as much as possible. So I got to record that song with this Rwandan gospel choir, and then got Michael Franti to sing the second verse on the song.
Oh, very cool.
So that was my Michael Franti impersonation.
Oh, very cool.
How you feeling?
I'm Rob Drabkin. This is called Two Left Feet.
On the day she left home, she wrote a dad a little note, said she'd never be alone. What did she know? Years go by, seasons end. Mama told her once again, it takes a while to take it in. There's so much to give when there's nothing to lose. I got two left feet and need something to do. So turn up a song that's inside of you, then we both cut loose. The way you move moves me too. Won't you keep me close to you? say, what's the point in the wait? Well, that's what she'd say. You learn a lot before you know how to make yourself a home out of everywhere you go. Well, there's so much to give when there's nothing to lose. I got two left feet and need something to do. So turn up a song that's inside of you, then we both cut loose. The way you move moves me too. Won't you keep me close to you? The way you move shines on through. Won't you make me move with you? I don't mind if I'm the last man standing. I don't care for the only ones dancing. I don't mind if I'm the last man standing. I don't care for the only ones dancing. I like the way you move. The way you move moves me too. Won't you keep me close to you? The way you move shines on through. Won't you make me move with you? I like the way you move. I like the way you move. I like the way you move.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank
you.
That's great.
Thanks, Rob.
What's the story behind your guitar? Whered you get this thing? I see it's pretty worn.
It looks so vintage, but it's like 2012. But I love
yesterday.
But I love when people come up and they're like, beautiful, vintage. What year Martin is that?
I mean, look at the wear and tear on that
Like,
thing,
yeah,
dude.
it's pretty special.
Beat the shit out of it, eh? All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find your music and find your tour dates? And what do you have coming up, actually?
I'm doing the Rwanda tour again. You're just gonna have to come to Rwanda.
Oh, yeah, we'll be there.
That's why you're so hard to see these days.
We're gonna do a big album release show in early April at the Bluebird. I'm waiting to announce that. And you find my music.
You kind of just did, actually.
What's up?
You kind of just did announce it.
Yeah, you just
The April show.
That's it. Get it online.
There it is.
It's happening.
Ticket link NA.
What else?
Rob Drabkin is my name. You just go to Rob. If you Google Rob and then DR, there'll be someone with big poofy hair coming up, and that's me.
So we can expect a new
Rob
album
Drabkin.
fall-ish?
No, it's coming out soon.
Sooner.
Yeah, we're gonna start doing like a song every 2 weeks, like starting mid-January. So real
Awesome.
soon.
Real soon.
Real soon.
Real soon. It's happening.
It's happening. It's ready.
Rob, thanks so much for your time again.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you,
Music
buddy.
Marauders.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Cheers, man.
Oh, that was awesome. That was really enjoyable.
That was really enjoyable.
I love Rob Drabkin.
We're kind of lucky when we do this, you know.
In the living room here.
Yeah.
We tell people it's a studio.
So
they're like, oh, we're coming into
we
the
tell
studio.
people we're doing a podcast. That's what we do.
But I may use the word studio too.
And we may actually do a podcast.
But I put it in quotes so that people know it's my living room.
Yeah.
Nick, you got anything?
Well, I just want you, this is funny that we're talking about 10 years of Music Marauders now, and I think you're kind of bouncing around on a couple of really key moments in the Music Marauders history, one of which being your tenure at the 1UP, I know. That's sort of where people like kind of found out about you, I think, in this scene a little bit.
Does it found out about me? You make it sound like I'm a character or something.
Well, you found out
Just
about
a wook
you.
with a dream, Nick.
Dude, I mean, people may not have like really known what Music Marauders was prior to what you did there, because I think what you did there was incredibly impressive.
I appreciate that. That's kind of you to say. Thank you. Yeah, the 1UP was, for me, so looking back on some of the highlights, I actually have some highlights written down throughout the 10 years of Music Marauders. The 1UP is definitely one of the highlights. It was an arcade, or is an arcade in Denver, Colorado. And for a while we did shows there, about a year and a half. And I get to the point where I was doing a super jam a month or two, or 1 or 2 a month rather, and just a lot of fun. And to do music in an arcade was a really cool experience, and had some really big bands in there, and definitely one of the greatest pleasures of what I've, for me, one of the biggest pleasures in my life.
You also denied me photo passes there several
Probably
times.
because your work was shit, Ryan.
It was not.
And just to be clear,
It's gotten better.
was it me or was it the other guy?
Oh, you.
Okay.
Okay.
Fuck you, Ryan. I have no memory of this. If he says this, it's probably true.
He
And
just waits till we're live on the internet to just
I'm-
chop you down.
I want to take a second. I want to apologize to Ryan, who's one of my favorite photographers. I was out of my mind in 2015 and not in the right place
Emotionally.
emotionally to be processing photo requests.
You are forgiven.
Thank you. All right, let's move on.
We've all come a long way.
Uh,
One of the frequenters of those super jams was a guy by the name of Jason Hann. And
Han?
Han?
Is there a...
Solo?
Yeah, I said yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both. Answer both.
Oh, it's
Sorry, I'm just killing the bagels.
nice.
The bacon
Some
back there.
bacon,
That's
yeah.
what we're all here for.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any fond memories from those one-up Music Marauders present shows?
No.
Oh, yeah, not a single one.
No.
Play a lot of video games. I was out there.
They're free. They're free backstage.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh my God, they had the Michael Jackson one backstage, huh?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about
That-
it. He saves little kids and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's not.
That shouldn't have been there. And I was,
But
again,
it
apologies.
was.
Yeah,
it was there. And
Sorry.
everyone played the hell out of it because I was like, oh my God, I remember this. Oh, wait. I shouldn't be liking this, but
So you saved a bunch of little kids
That's awesome.
via Michael
it
Jackson.
still sounds
Horrible.
weird. Even in video game form, it's weird.
Thanks for the bacon.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the everything else, bagels
spread?
and the bacon, the whole
No,
thing.
Carly makes me do that when we have people over.
I love it. Good. That's why
Makes us
she's
feel like we
right.
come from some sort of, respectable background. I'm gonna have like something for
When you
people
have
when they
36 people in your living room.
Oh my God.
Studio.
Studio.
Studio. Yeah. This is awesome. What a great gathering.
I told you it'd probably
really
just be
cool.
you and me hanging out
Yeah. Yeah.
in my bathroom because we get the best sound in there. So I appreciate you coming under those pretenses.
Right on. Right on. Yes.
I want to
We're still doing the bathroom.
yeah after
By
this.
the way.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
separate podcast.
That's still happening.
Maybe with no cameras.
No, it's all audio.
Yeah. Good, good.
Okay, so
Yes.
I want to start by reading your Wikipedia page.
Can't wait to hear
I'm
what it
hoping
says
that was
on
your
my
reaction.
Wikipedia page.
All right. Jason Hann is an American. Ham?
No, Han. You're correct. You're
Han. That's
Han,
2 N's.
sorry.
Not an M.
All right,
Ham.
then I-
Han. You can put
Han.
your nasally.
Yes,
Han.
Just go for it. Just
Jason
let it
Hann
go.
is an
Han.
American percussionist and DJ.
Oh.
Is that part true?
Those are accurate words
Okay.
that follow after each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Han is a member of the String Cheese Incident, an American jam band.
Yes.
They are American.
They are American.
So far, we're pretty good.
Although Billy's background, you wouldn't think it. His family's from Syria. Kang is still not an American
Stop.
citizen. Kang is Korean.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See? Stuff you didn't think you would find out on a Saturday morning.
On the Music Marauders podcast.
On Music Marauders podcast. There you go.
Just a couple more sentences
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Hang on a second.
Just let's circle back real quick.
I thought
gotta
we were
go.
riffing right there.
We were.
American
Thank
Jam
you for
Band.
that. But this is a good one. I
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
overlook
God.
this.
Oh, jeez.
In 1999, Han performed on the album 2001 by Dr. Dre.
Yes.
I want to hear this story.
Yes. I know. Yeah.
Why did you
Yes.
put that on your Wikipedia page?
Why did I enter that?
Yeah,
in
why
my
did you put that
wiki?
in there?
We got an email from
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's
that's
so funny.
approved. Yep, yeah, that's good.
I don't know how.
Is there a
found
I
out-
mean,
well, I used to have like a web, like a jasonhand.com that had, like my history on it.
Credits,
so someone, must have picked up on that. But it is, 2001 is the only hip hop record that I played on, and I was in, I think it was probably the end of 1998, and there were all these guys that I played with in Los Angeles that were actually really strong, like music players, like out from Berkeley and stuff. But none of us really had too many gigs per se. But we'd get together on Monday night and out in Studio City and that's a story in itself. But anyways, one of the guys that used to come down to those jams ended up playing keyboards on some of Dr. Dre's stuff, and he was looking for a percussionist because the guy that they usually use, I think a guy out of Detroit, he wasn't in town. And then they tried to call Sheila E. from Prince's band, but she wasn't in town.
I feel like that's not an easy call.
That's
but if you're Dr. Dre, that might be.
Yeah. And so he said, "Hey, I've been playing this with this one guy, he's a great percussionist." And
who's he talking about?
Some other guy, but
But you were available.
but I was
that day,
available
too.
anyway. So
Cool.
yeah. But since he's not available, I was, I think, in alphabetical order.
Next one on the
Next on the roll up.
Started with you, not a bit.
Exactly,
I got you,
right.
So you were available.
Cool. And so I went down there, and it was just one 10-hour day, but
How many tracks?
it was
are you on?
amazing. I don't think I probably played a little bit on all the tracks, but I listen back to the record and I don't necessarily hear that much percussion on it. All I know is when I'm in the studio, I'm hearing Snoop's voice, I'm hearing Eminem's voice, and it was pretty amazing being in the studio at the time and then hearing those voices oh wow, it made it even more real. Meeting Dre was one thing, and then just hearing the voices, and then
You're in it at that point,
we're in, yeah. And then Scott Storch he was in the control room playing keyboards, and another keyboard player from the Roots was also in there. So the way we did the 10-hour day was just we'd all be playing live against these beats, and it's kind of like whenever Dre felt like someone had a hook that they came up with, he would stop the tape and then he'd rewind it back and say, "Oh, let's listen to that part," and everyone play around that part again. And then we jam on that part for 5 minutes, and we did that thing for 10 hours. So it was intense and
It's a pivotal hip hop album.
Yeah, it's seminal.
yeah.
Seminal record to be a part of. And if you click on the actual Wikipedia for the album, his name's in there too. So it's not like he's.
Oh, you thought I just?
Yeah, we were just.
Yeah.
We wanted to check.
Oh,
we
wow.
had to do a little
There's
bit more research.
somebody else we know that says they're on hip hop stuff. Is that legit? We won't mention his name.
He is actually on.
Oh wait, you're serious?
Yeah,
Really?
no, but
Oh, yeah.
he doesn't.
Here.
He just makes up credits and puts it on his Wikipedia.
He's
Maybe.
on some albums, but I don't think he is listed. Because you're listed.
Oh.
So.
Oh. he does know a lot of people. He does know a lot of people.
Because you were probably floating around the scene with him around a little bit.
Anyways, moving along.
Yeah. It was such a one-off thing, but it's for people that find out. I mean, you want to be associated with a hip hop record. That's
2001's fine.
Oh my god, I love it. And it's one of those things where I'm half. It's a little bit hard to talk about because I listen to the record and I'm I hear a little bit of percussion. Yeah, it's probably my stuff, but it's probably cut up, and it's hard to be I was a creative force on it.
It's the highlight of your Wikipedia page.
Thank you.
So I wanted to at least get this far in the.
Mom, if you're listening.
The list of credits is actually impressive.
It also says Isaac Hayes' name here.
Oh, that is
Real?
Your first
Because we added some things in here too. So if that you didn't add that one, right?
No, I didn't have that.
All right, so is there a story?
Isaac, I got a chance to play with. Again, that gig also came from all these guys coming down on a Monday night in Studio City, and we're playing all jazz tunes at this dive bar called the River Bottom. And it was the kind of place where their clientele is showing up at 11 a.m. drinking. And we come in at 7 or 8 p.m. and we're setting up and playing jazz. And somewhere in the middle of our jazz set, one of the clientele turns on the jukeboxes, playing AC/DC in the middle of the set.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, so we'd have to. One of us
jam with that.
One of us would have to get on the stage and just ask the owner, could you shut off the jukebox?
Unplug the jukebox.
Really, I mean, no one's getting paid here, but we're having fun playing. We're trying to get something.
Trying to power through it too.
Yeah,
right? Oh my God, dude.
But the keyboard player from that recommended me for Isaac Hayes' band, and it's I went to Atlanta. It was kind of like an audition / already just rehearsing for it, and then I was with him for 9 years, and just went all through Europe and stuff. And,
Sweet.
And at the time, the Chocolate Salty Balls was.
Were you on that one?
No, I didn't play on that track. But
I didn't play on
One of my questions.
no. But they that was a #1 song in Australia, out of a legit #1 song. So he had some almost extra sort of, I guess, attention for his music, and it's so crazy to hang with the guys in his band, because he had guys in his band that were played on his original records.
Oh.
His front of house guy was his engineer on the records, and both his guitar players, Michael Tolles and William Skip Pitts, played on just all the original stuff, the Shaft stuff, and
That's amazing.
Hot
That's
Buttered,
fun.
yeah.
And then
Story
there you
time.
are.
Buttered Solid, and then here I am. And well, the thing that I love hanging out with older musicians is just hearing the stories. You just hear a story like, oh man, Skip Pitts is talking about how because he played with Wilson Pickett, and then he played on the early Isley Brothers records, and he said, I forgot the name of the Isley guitar player who. Anyways, he was just like a kid when watching Skip play in the studio, and then he became pretty legendary, like so legendary I can't remember his name. but he was like,
I hope to be there someday.
But you listen to just Isley Brothers, and it's just and to think that Skip played on these original tracks, and him and Michael Tolles talking about all the Stax records.
Oh, yeah.
Hits that they played on. It's just amazing just to really be in the room. And then Isaac was he had so many fires going. He was like a king in Africa. He was doing Scientology, but
You're not getting into that, right?
No,
Stay away from that stuff. Right? As a friend.
I was as close as I could get to it, because since he was a Scientologist, we would play some of their events and stuff, and some stuff got.
That's gotta pay, right? Though.
It was kind of sure,
the
private events
Scientology
and stuff.
pay well.
Yeah.
Did you take the scan or the test?
Yeah, the e-meters.
Did you do that?
No, don't get. But that's the thing. Isaac never pressured any of us. That was like his thing, and those guys helped him get the rights back to his music publishing.
Sure, hard sell.
So there's parts of it that were really good, but honestly, being around it was just kind of really don't want anything.
That's a hard
to
no.
do.
I'm good.
That's kind of like a hard no.
That's a hard no. I'm
good. Yeah, and yes. Anyways, but
are you gonna-
Your
was really
Wikipedia
amazing.
page.
Are you gonna
Go ahead, keep going down the Wikipedia.
No, I'm
page.
done. I'm done.
You done? Okay, 'cause I have some real
God.
questions for the man.
Yeah, now we get real
Jesus.
good. That's
Sorry.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta do.
That's all. I didn't. We met a couple times, but I just felt like the Wikipedia was the good way to go.
All right, good start off.
So, did you join the string cheese incident because Travis got lazy, or what?
Oh, God damn! Why you gotta throw it down like that? Why? No.
We're
but
back,
seriously,
we're
but
back, we're
seriously,
back.
but seriously.
No.
Because
Garbage
you kind of joined at
questions.
a time, there was like a transitional period, so I'm kind of
We're
curious.
in the serious part of the
Let's
portion of the interview now.
This is where it gets serious.
Okay, yes, all right, ready. Game face.
Why? When they brought you in, what was like? How did you get brought into the mix?
Well, it was actually Travis. He was
Lazy.
Well, it's, no.
No.
Let's see. So back in 1996, I played at High Sierra with a band called Zoo People, and we just got signed to Atlantic Records, and that was a time when
Zoo People?
Zoo People, yes.
They're still touring?
Spotify it. Not still touring at all, but check out Zoo People Spotify. There's our record is still up there, and it's really I love it. I love playing it for people. Really great band. Kind of a mix between like Steely Dan and Allman Brothers.
Sweet.
That's
It
Good
was it's always like super groovy, but just it went to pretty unexpected places. So we were playing at High Sierra. And when we were playing, we were on like the second stage, and the generator kept going out. And we counted like the generator going out like 13 times during our set in a 1 hour set. It's just. But every time
Where do you go from there?
time that would happen, the sound would drop, but the drums would still go. So we do a drum solo every
Sweet.
time that happened.
I bet you love that. I mean, that's an ample drum solo.
It was unexpected, but you're just
Lot of work.
rolling with it, and so that would happen. Everyone would go like, "Oh," and then the drums would get going. Like, "Ah!" So I'd come out front and play, and then right when the power would come on, everyone would go like, "Hey!" And then then I'd go back behind percussion and do that thing, and then it would go out again. So this happened a lot. But Travis had saw that set, and afterwards he invited me to go over to the String Cheese Bus and do like a jam session with him. And there's another guy, Jared Kaplan, that was from something green.
Tea leaf green, or what are we talking about?
No, let me
Buddha?
think. It was a group from. Oh man, I want to say like True. I can't remember.
We've
I'm
got
sorry.
hours. Just go ahead.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
all right.
figure it out. We'll fam.
I'm sorry, but if you look up Jared Kaplan,
Kaplan is his name. Okay, well,
and so, anyways, the three of us played around the bus, and this guy Bruce Hayes, who was originally in String Cheese, basically before they were called String Cheese, before Travis was even part of it, and he'd play with Billy and Keith. He had a recorder, and he recorded our percussion jam, and he ended up putting that percussion jam on his solo record, and it was just like this kind of thing where me and Travis just stayed in touch, and then in like '99 I sat in with them in L.A. and San Diego, but really I only knew Travis. I didn't even really meet the other guys. And those particular sit-ins that I did in San Diego and L.A., it was like Carl Denson sitting in. All these other guys are sitting in. So I was just like, just kind of another person, more like hanging. But me and Trav kept in touch. And then I think, reasoning as far as like having somebody else come in, I think they were just kind of looking for some little change. So either enhancing like the rhythm section, because they were doing a lot of African music,
Sure.
and then they asked me about like electronic stuff too, because Kang and Travis had been going to Burning Man. They were friends with Lauren before he was bass nectar, and they could just see this whole other counterculture thing happening in the desert. It was like, wow, all these people are gathering, and it's all about art, and it's all about being together and throwing down, and bass music just happened to represent what was going on there. So
You've been to Burning Man, right?
Burning Man a couple of times.
Will you
yeah.
come with me this year?
Ooh, well, do I have to commit on the air? Right.
We'll wait. Then think about it. Check your calendar. We'll wait.
The offer can stand.
Come with us in the next couple of years.
Okay, I'd love to. Yeah, you guys have like a super inn over there, huh? Why don't you
He's
tell
just
us about
he's
it?
been there, if
You
he's
wanna tell
been
us
there
about it?
before.
My wife's father was the county commissioner for the county that Burning Man was in, for sure, and that's. Anyways, I learned about it from my wife. I've been 7 times. You've been how many times have you been? 10.
Wow.
So we're super whooped up. We don't even bring a tent. We just fucking lay in the dust. Embrace it, dude. Are you even there if you're in a tent? No, you're not. So, anyways, come with us. We'd like to. No tent, nothing. Just
Yes. Well,
skydive in.
yeah, Elon actually invited me too.
So you're with their camp. let me-
But I'll find you there. I'll find you there.
Yeah.
We can hang out.
I'll be the fat naked guy.
He will be the fat naked guy.
Do you have another like an action? Because that was shitty. That was a shitty question.
Well, he came in hot.
He was hot.
That was a shitty question.
I know. So this one's
First off, but I do want to say though, I'm so glad that you did join Cheese. The layer that adds and the multiple percussion. I'm a huge Allman Brothers fan.
Oh,
so the
yeah.
multiple layers of percussion is awesome.
Yeah, Allman
really
Brothers is
crucial.
definitely like inspiring for me too.
You've heard of them too?
Yes, I have.
Who knew?
I got one of their CDs. I'll give it to you. It's Eat a Peach. Check it out.
String Cheese Incidents is one of those bands that has successfully navigated a post-dubstep world and incorporated electronica into their repertoire. Obviously, you were a big part of that. Tell me how that process began and how it continues today.
Oh well,
Are we in a post dubstep world?
I think dubstep was the disco of our generation, but you
Do you
tell
still
me.
do dubstep?
well,
I don't know what that is.
To a
That's a
degree,
phenomenon.
it's just kind of morphed into a different thing now. But yeah, well, early on when I joined String Cheese, it was I really hadn't heard of like Tipper. I hadn't heard of Bass Nectar at the time, and he was DJ Lauren than Bass Nectar back then. And when we were hanging, that was for some reason like on Jam Cruise. Jam Cruise in 2005. There was a set Michael Kang featuring DJ Lauren, and only 20 people showed up to it. And I think it might have been the first DJ set they had on Jam Cruise. And it's so funny to think about that, because it really was so off the radar. I mean, electronic music back then, there was maybe like Carl Cox and like techno stuff from Detroit, drum and bass stuff was happening, but bass music was just like a California or like Vancouver type thing. You know what I mean? And it would happen on the West Coast and at Burning Man type events. So when I first started hearing that stuff, it was just so fresh, because it was like no one's listening to this. You feel like you just found this treasure. It's just really good stuff. So I had been working with electronic music for a really long time, since like the kind of early 90s. And but then I started working on, just imitating some of that type of production. And it's really inspiring. Really.
Was it easy to imitate?
No, it was. You couldn't figure out kind of what was going on, and how do you automate or do the rhythmic, like filters to make things go wow.
You're trying to figure out the sounds, basically.
Trying to figure out the sounds, and it was
You're
new
reverse
territory.
engineering sounds.
You really
deep,
were.
bro.
And the tools were not nearly as approachable as they are now. I mean, you have different software programs and things now where you can just do it. So.
Yeah, you can get sample packs and get really close. The thing is the more it's happened with all types of electronic music over the years, where something is kind of fresh at first, and then it just gets flooded with that style, and that's why for me personally, it's so much rave music. I just can't be around, because it's like just right one after the other. It's like you just hear the formula.
I've been a camera op at Global Dance, so I get it.
Oh yeah. And but that also
shaken, not stirred. You know what I mean?
But it also makes me like really have to listen for new things versus. I still love the adventure of like trying to find new music that's inspiring in all genres, whether it's electronic or jazz or or anything.
Electric Forest sold out again instantly.
Oh, yeah.
What's it like to be a part of such a successful event? Congratulations
that's awesome.
again, by the way. Nice work. Yeah.
Thank you. I should, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Great work on your part for selling it out and everything.
You and Madison, that's pretty much the whole thing.
We love being a part of it, being a host for it, and it's still one of those moments throughout the year where we gotta kind of work our ass off to get something ready for it. Something that so every year is pretty challenging for us. So last year we did our 70-minute kind of jam, and I don't know if that's gonna turn out to be like a regular thing for us, but that was something that we practiced a little bit in practice. We just kind of do some, believe it or not, you're practicing jamming, but there's so many things to it that so many like subtle things that when you figure out something that you try to take it up a notch. Okay, you can already do this thing. Well, now what happens if we put like the ninth in the chord, or what happens when we go from one jam and if we're thinking about like a circle of fifths, music theory, that we hit another thing sort of seamlessly, and then all of a sudden the whole texture can change or whatever. So it's us old guys, we're almost all over 50. Kang's gonna turn 50, I think in April or something like that.
What age is geriatric? What?
Geriatric. Was he in the Dead? He was in there. What?
How great is Michigan?
I love Michigan.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm from Michigan.
So
you don't. Ooh.
Michigan was great.
Yeah, all right. I shouldn't have mentioned that. It's a great state, though, isn't it? Especially on that coast over there.
I love
really
it.
Beautiful.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And that forest is really well primed. Actually, my brother was a camp counselor at the camp that occupied that property.
That's pretty hot.
You and my brother, right? You love that guy. Hi.
But I fully, like when we did, when Electric Forest did 2 weekends during the week, we went to the sand dunes. I didn't even know there were sand dunes out there.
Bro.
But our whole
Go to northern
crew,
Michigan.
Really?
The Upper Peninsula,
UP is
untapped.
pretty amazing. Yeah, like Superior.
I got to do that.
We'll go up there and have a
Waters, all
Bible
that.
study sometime.
Oh.
Commune with nature.
Sounds delightful.
I just have one last question, and thank you, Jason. I do appreciate your addition to String Cheese, and I might come off as a smarmy fucker, but no, I do love what you've brought to the band.
Come off as.
I appreciate it.
But no, I do. I love what you've brought to the band, the energy, the positivity, and sort of like that light that sort of just shines from the back of the
They put that really
stage.
bright light on.
The bright light. I told them to put it there.
He is
it's
the
like
bright
angelic.
light.
There, yes.
So String Cheese is currently taking like 6 months off. That
Yes.
about right? So EOTO continues to kind of tour prolifically, fill in the gaps. How important is it as a working musician to have that sort of like your own thing, while your main project is taking a break?
Well, it's just like you keep playing. Let's see. Now, since I listen to a lot of comedy, I kind of take it from almost their perspective. Like to be a comedian, if you're not, no matter how big you are, if you're not in the clubs working, it goes away. You know, it doesn't go away in the sense that whatever. It's like a fine-tuned machine. You just like keep if you want to keep pushing yourself. You just got to go out there and play. And so whatever the musical situation is, it feels good to like just be out there. And every situation that I'm in usually feels pretty challenging enough. So even if it's if we're doing EOTO, then I'm kind of thinking of different ways. Well, what kind of other effects can I bring into it, or what kind of music can I listen to so we can try and change up our sound. And then even with DJ set, it makes me really look for new music to get excited about. And man, I will spend hours going through stuff, be like, wow, this sucks. Like what? Like why am I on this pursuit? But then I'll find some gems, and then I'll go in that direction of like other artists that artist hangs out with or listens to, and I'm like, wow, I found really cool nuggets that gets me excited about it. Same with jazz too. I'm still friends with a lot of people in LA where I'm home and like, oh, let's record something or let's go play music.
You've got a diverse range of projects. You and I were working on Rhythmatronics together.
Yeah.
Which I'd love to do that again. And you've had some really interesting musicians in that with Fareed and Kang and Kimok and O'Teal and Andre Manga and Raul Pineda.
Yes.
I mean, just some absolute beasts. How does something like that come together? How does, besides just like...
Well, you.
Besides me. I mean, let's go ahead and start with me.
Let's start with Justin.
And but no, where does somebody like you decide? Like, how do you decide who to pick for something like that? And how does that come together?
Yeah.
That's really obscure backgrounds and some really unique stuff,
Yeah. I asked you about like Fareed and O'Teal.
I said no way, right?
Yeah, they'll never do it.
Nope.
Shut it
But
down.
they didn't know who you were, so they said yes, and then we're here. So.
Yeah. I think in that situation, I feel like, some of the music that I'm, that particular music that I was listening to, I can right away figure out some players off the top of my head, like, oh, it'd be cool to see O'Teal go off on this. And I feel like the music will be challenging for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just
it was very like deep music, and I think it speaks to your ability not only to compose that kind of music and that depth of music, but to have those players around you on a project like that. Everybody we asked said yes.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you remember.
So cool.
Everybody said yes. We just reached out to people and it was just like, yep.
I love it. It's and then as you're playing the music or playing the music for them, seeing them get excited about, well, we don't get to do this on other gigs and stuff, and I almost want to take that on as being like, I think we can put this in front of like a live audience of just like kids that go to all these festivals, and I think it
translated really well.
Over. Yeah,
because
because it's weird to see kids dance. Essentially, we're doing jazz music, but it was jazz layered with African rhythms underneath, and so it's sort of the best of both worlds, where you can just do this if you want, or you can just like really get into it. As far as like
there were people dancing differently in the crowd based on what they were catching and how they were grooving, and it's a really cool range of music. If you haven't checked out Rhythmatronics, I think there's some on probably Archive, some on SoundCloud.
Oh yeah.
Look around. It's one of Jason's projects. It's just really amazing.
And so I just had my 50th birthday in Orlando, and Fareed came down for that.
Sweet.
Andre lives in Orlando now.
Really?
And some of my other friends from Los Angeles.
In country?
He's in country. He goes back and forth to Cameroon all the time.
But that's great, though, for playing and doing some Rhythmatronics stuff.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I've got recycled because playing at my 50th party, we got to really throw down. And it was like, it sounded really good.
Yeah.
So
Did you record any
Is
of
there
it?
a recording of that floating around?
I don't want to go into it. There were parts of that day that were kind of nightmarish, including trying to get the recording. But we got some video. We'll see how the music came out with the video.
Cool. Part of the show today is celebrating 10 years of MusicMarauders and
Congratulations.
That's the only reason I said that. I just wanted to hear you say it. Okay.
Well deserved.
That was it. Anyways, some of my favorite memories I've kind of been going through, and one of my favorite memories is when you were at Element Festival in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah.
And in 2017, you were staying up the road at a little dude ranch with the band, and you got left behind to stay on site and hang out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you were looking for a ride home, and my guy was probably high or drunk and passed out, who was supposed to take you back. So Jason and I shared an ATV ride
Yes.
at like 4 or 5 in the morning through the Canadian wilderness,
Hot
through
and
on a
heavy.
logging road in the BC interior. I went inside and I got him a wool blanket and I wrapped
loved
him
it.
up.
Oh,
and
he was so gentle.
He wrapped around me and we rode through the Canadian wilderness like Dumb and Dumber at like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was
Yeah, oh,
unbelievable.
yeah.
But it was probably 5-6 miles up the road through the wilderness.
Oh, my
and
God.
we may or may not have seen a Yeti, but on the way back, it's a very cold ride without you.
Oh,
Wrapped, yeah. So I always want to keep you close if I can help it. So,
yes,
yeah.
the warmth and gentleness of
Yeah,
that trip
your
was
supple
well
touch.
remembered. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for everything you've done for the scene. Thank you for everything that you've done for
yeah.
Music Marauders. You've always been down to participate, whether it's a jam we have, whether it's an interview, whether it's fielding my calls about what color dress I should be wearing. I'm so grateful for you across the board, seriously, as a friend.
Oh, thank
man.
you, brother. man. What a pleasure
Seriously,
working with you and
thank
knowing you
dude.
all these years. and
Yep.
stuff.
Thanks for coming on. I know I told you it was a studio, and it's my living room
Studio.
interview. But I appreciate you, buddy, and thank you for this.
I got you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Yay.
Jason, everyone.
I appreciate
All right,
it, brother.
thank
Thank
you
you so
guys.
much. We'll see you at summer camp.
So up next now, one of my favorite photographers, Laura Collins. How are you?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good,
this is
good.
actually the first time we met.
Yes.
You've been shooting for Music Marauders now for 6 months, maybe? A year?
No, didn't I start with Tom York
Oh, yeah. So maybe a year.
2 Decembers ago?
2 years? And we haven't met yet?
How is Music Brothers pulling Tom York past us? No, that's probably
I
your-
know.
Her work
That's probably
has
based on her.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was my first one with you guys. and
Awesome.
if
I
you're-
liked that gallery too. That was really kind of like spacey, and there was
Yes,
some cool
yeah,
blending.
I tried to do something different with that.
That was
when
really
I
cool.
started exploring with prisms and different things.
I really, really liked that gallery.
Yeah.
How did you get started doing photography?
Since I was little, I started just doing portraits, and at the same time I was going to shows and I was taking my point and shoot, and I got pretty tired of just having really crappy quality photos, and I wanted to print some out. And
I feel like you were covering a bunch of really different stuff from what we were doing. Ryan's over here nodding his head. I felt like you were doing some stuff so every time you asked me for credentials, I didn't have to look at the calendar to see if there was other people who had requested it.
Yeah,
was
it
just
was
like,
pretty
yep,
simple.
you're good to go. Yeah.
yeah.
What kind of music do you like? What's your thing?
Metal
Metal?
is my comfort zone.
Ryan's like very satisfied and like nodding over here. Ryan,
Yes.
do you like metal?
I do indeed.
Awesome.
I'm just glad we're not talking about fish anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Fish is metal.
Fish is not metal.
Can be.
Stop it.
You better listen to Ass Handed. Anyway, let's
It's
just move on.
exhausting. So, what are some of your favorite bands? What are you listening to now?
Well, I go by Laura Lateralus, so if you know Tool, you know that's where that comes from. Was it you that was talking about them last time?
was.
Kevin's fist bumping. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you like Tool, you like Perfect Circle, and there goes that little trifecta with Pussifer and
Yeah.
all that.
Cool. What do you find to be some of the most challenging aspects of photography? Is it the actual capturing of the images and navigating a crowd, or is it the processing, or what for you do you find to be the most challenging?
I've been going to shows for a long time, so moving through crowds is no big deal. They see you have a camera. They're pretty good at just moving out of your way.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. But like last night, I was at the Dendrites show at the Oriental Theater. And
I like that room.
yeah, I'm going to be there tonight for the Addicts.
Cool.
Yesterday, the opening band had amazing light. I was like, such a relief.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be awesome. Perfect photos.
Yeah.
Then goes the Dendrites, and there's hardly any light. I'm like, why do they do this?
Yeah, I think we deal with that a lot. At a lot of the independent venues, I find have not the best lighting or not the most conducive for photography, at least. I know that you've had some...
Smaller rooms are tougher, and again, I would say lighting is a huge challenge when you're trying to get out and shoot some stills. I was at the swing station just trying to get a couple stills of Charlie Parr, and I don't think anything turned out at all.
They got nothing. Eh?
So what
I
do
was
you do
like,
then?
yeah,
What do you do then?
You just don't turn in photos. Or you push it into the reds and then you go black and white and you try to get some sort of contrast. My problem with that is a lot of time you push the grain on it. It's not grain, it's fucking noise. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Grain used to be cool and awesome. Noise, not awesome. And then I'm like, but they're kind of the same. Anyway. But it's
They're like they're just different enough to have one not be good.
They're cousins. They're angry cousins. Anyway, but so yeah, I definitely feel you. I will say some rooms hear you and get better. And one of the things that I've done, even at like Hody's has not. It can have fine lighting. If you go to the light guy and you say, turn it up.
Oh God, do you want to be that person
I
that's going to somebody in
absolutely
production?
do.
I know they'll probably hate you
Absolutely.
even more.
I've been that guy at a number of venues, and now I'm friends with the
Yeah, you make
LDs,
friends that
so
way. I know a lot of the
That's
guys
good
that
to have.
at least in the Fort Collins market. So when I go back there and I say, hey, just can you turn up the whites for the first 3 songs? You'd really help me out.
Do you
and
think?
they really don't have a problem with it, generally speaking.
Do you think it was the band that was like, maybe take the lights back or scale it back, or did the opening band have like supplemental lights, or why would that be the case?
Made friends with the lighting guy because the
imagine
lighting
playing
was
in the dark?
amazing.
Bands like to play in the dark.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some bands.
yeah. I had this one show where all they had was a strobe the whole time.
Oh.
And they
Try to-
hired me to be
to get
there. I was like, why are you doing this to me?
Where are you from originally? Where did you start shooting at?
Here in Denver.
Here in Denver?
Yeah.
But are you a transplant or are you a native? From
Well, I'm from Mexico, in Guadalajara.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Jalisco.
When did
Yeah.
you come to Colorado?
About 23 years ago.
So you totally grew up out here?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
How long have you been shooting for?
It's probably since I was 17.
Okay, so a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So in that time, so in that 5 years that you've been, 5 or 7 years that you've been shooting out here,
Mm-hmm.
how have you seen the market change? I mean, obviously you're working a little bit different genre than a lot of the places that we're bouncing around, but how have you seen, is it easier to get photo passes? Is it harder to get photo passes? Are you getting more access, less access?
I always assume that the
it depends.
competition across the board has just grown for all of the scenes.
Yeah,
Is there?
yeah.
Are there a lot
Everyone's
of?
picking up a camera, basically. So, on some shows, I'm the only photographer there. Other shows, I'm like the 10th. So,
Yeah.
it just depends.
Do you find there's an ease of getting photo passes?
Yeah, now that I have a big portfolio, it's pretty easy. As long as
And
they-
stunning.
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
your portfolio is stunning.
Thank
Your
you.
work is really great. I
Appreciate it.
love it's got a certain vibe and a certain mood to it that I really enjoy. What were you gonna ask?
Yeah, so talking about your portfolio, I wanted to kind of bend your ear about this one for a while. You do a lot more metal, which lends itself to some more dynamic photos than say like your jam bands who don't move around too much, or
Oh,
your
yeah.
bluegrass bands who crowd around one microphone. It just there's what kind of challenges have you run into? I mean, obviously, like low light situations, like if you're trying to get somebody's hair whipping back and forth,
Oh, yeah,
like
that's my
you
favorite thing.
crush that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, how did you work around that, or what was your kind of education when it came to dealing with those conditions?
So when I first started, I had a really crappy lens, and I realized that was not going to do it. So I invested, and after that, it was just about settings, honestly.
What's your, what lens did you buy, if you don't mind me asking?
As long as I started with the 50, 1.8.
The
That-
old 50
I know, the
1.8,
50
nifty
nifty.
50, the
Yes.
nifty 50. You know what
Yes.
they say? Your feet are the zoom. It's okay.
Yeah,
Your
basically.
feet are the zoom.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's a great. That's what I have on here. Just a 50 mil 1.8, and it's great for all situations. But you got to move a little bit.
yeah.
So,
And I mean, you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
So.
What kind of rig are you shooting with now?
Nikon 750, and it's amazing.
they've gotten more. The 750s have actually gotten pretty affordable these days.
Yeah,
The body is. So if you need to do a replacement, but they're out with the 850 now, and
yeah,
Is that-
yeah.
the DX Mark III got announced.
Yes.
And like all kinds of camera bodies are coming out now. I keep reading about everybody wants to write an article with the headline, DSLRs are dead. And then they say it's all about mirrorless cameras. I mean, how do you feel about the DSLR mirrorless debate?
Honestly, I'm not that interested in it. What I have is what's working
appreciate
for
that.
me. So, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Sweet.
What who
That is
is
the best answer of the day.
Laura, you've covered In Flames a number of times, and that is a band that is near and dear to my heart.
Oh, yes.
Who is somebody from that genre that, like, what's your dream show to cover?
Well, they were one of my dream shows to cover. Rammstein.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is one I hope to do at some point in my life.
Yeah, I've seen them live a few times, and it is an experience.
Do they still tour?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just
Heavy
not here.
production, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Flames and
Yeah.
large sexual implements and all combining the two.
Yeah.
It's
Because you
a
need both.
yeah, it's fun for the whole family.
That's rowdy. Any other questions for Laura while we have her? Thank you so much for coming on. It was nice to
fan of
meet
your
you.
work.
Yeah, nice to
Yeah, I'm
meet
a big
you.
fan of your work, so I'm really grateful to have
Thank
this
you.
conversation with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, where can people find your work?
LauraLateralus.com or social media, Laura Lateralus.
And you're available to do portrait work and different types of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, that's kind of your bread and butter. Talk about
Yeah.
that just for just a second.
Yeah. Besides my full-time job, I do that. Portraits. I'm trying to work with musicians to do like CD covers, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Great.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
for
Appreciate
taking the time.
you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Awesome.
Welcome to episode 3 news. I'll kick it off here.
Have you guys decided on a name for this segment yet?
No, we
Oh,
are.
you know, like a vocal.
We are still. I think Brad had some really good ideas.
Hot off the pressies.
Hot off the
Oh,
presses.
man, come on! This is a family show.
That
Hot off the
was-
presses. I'm
I like-
sorry, you
I like
misheard
it.
me.
Dear Lord.
Phil Lesh announces the 80th birthday shows with surprise lineup at the Capitol Theater for each night. No one will know the lineup until the curtain goes up. Going to be very exciting. Phil
Seriously?
turning 80. Yeah, they're doing a surprise lineup each and every night, done by Peter Shapiro, of course. So Phil's back on the train. He's announcing some great room shows at his Terrapin Crossroads venue in Marin County. Hopefully he stays healthy throughout the year.
He came back on what, New Year's Day, was that right?
Ish,
We
I
talked
believe
about
so,
that
yes.
show. He did a live stream on that for free again on his Facebook page, or Deadhead Land or whatever. One of the groups was streaming it. It was pretty cool.
2020 calendar at Red Rocks is definitely starting to fill up. There's more announcements by the week. And I'm expecting that you'll see a lot of the bands that you normally see making announcements here shortly. There's 420 on the Rocks, Lotus, King Gizzard, J-Rad, Michael Franti, Big Head Todd, the Avid Brothers, Rainbow Kitten Surprise, Trampled by Turtles, Dispatch, Tedeschi Trucks Band, and the Black Crows all making announcements already.
Anything you're specifically excited about?
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? Come on.
They're
dude.
doing full albums as well. J-Rad's always great.
5-album, 3-hour sets.
Right.
And then once the first night kind of instantly sold out, they announced the second night. I don't know if the second night still has tickets available, but if you're at all interested in seeing King Gizzard, get your tickets now.
All right, Chinese version of Spotify called Tencent has now bought into 3 different United States music companies. The first, they bought a $3 billion slice, or 10% of the US-based Spotify. They have a sub-licensing agreement with Warner Music Group, and last week they agreed to buy 10% of Universal Music. We bring this up because wondering why China is getting involved in the United States music industry all of a sudden.
China's getting involved in everything.
Exactly.
I mean, what do they own, like 2/3 of our country or
Yeah,
something?
they're-
I mean,
and
just
now
across
they're
the board.
buying up music.
They're just
music
financing
Huge market,
random
yep.
projects in other countries.
Well,
So.
I mean, look at what China does. They buy up things that have potential to make money. So why not buy up a portion of the American music industry?
And if you think about 10% of Spotify's $3 billion, so they're a $30 billion company.
Spotify's $30 billion.
That's insane.
How is that possible?
That's insane.
Which we're found on Spotify, so check us out there.
Check us out on Spotify.
Nice plug.
Rob, you were there.
Jake Jolliffe is leaving Yonder Mountain String Band. They just made that announcement, and they're going to be replacing him with Nick Piccinini from Floodwood.
They've had their first couple shows, I think, with them, right?
They have.
I believe so.
They played through with Jacob through the New Year's run.
Did anybody
included
hear the-
Fox and a couple other shows?
Did anybody hear the new shows? Anything from the new shows? No?
I know
I will say this about Nick: he is an incredibly talented multi-instrumentalist. At this point, mandolin is like his 4th instrument, and he's still crushes it. He means he can pick up a violin, he can pick up a banjo, or he can pick up a guitar. And at any point, he can join in a way that, I don't think that Jacob was able to do. I think Jolliffe is an amazing picker. I just think his heart was somewhere else. So
Jolliffe?
Jacob Jolliffe?
It doesn't matter.
We'll follow up with the
It
correction.
matters a little.
No.
But anyway, I think he's an amazing picker.
He's a great player.
Moving on.
The Allman Brothers, unfortunately with no almonds included, have announced their 50th anniversary reunion shows at MSG, or show, I should say, at Madison Square Garden. It'll be Tuesday, March 10th. Of course, Dwayne Trucks will be taking his father's place, Butch. On keys, they have the original player of the Allman Brothers. I cannot remember his name right now, but he was actually
JMO.
No, keyboard.
Keys.
Keyboard.
Keys.
It was before Greg, actually, and then Greg joined. Dwayne was the original Allman. Who was in the Allman Brothers.
That's some Allman
Ticket
Brothers trivia.
ticket prices were absolutely insane. Is this a money grab? Is this nostalgia 101?
The pre-sale was it like Visa and Chase Platinum
American
members?
Express.
American Express and Chase
Yeah.
Platinum members. Only.
Yep.
Let's just let that just sit here and just think about that just for a second.
A floor-
You're
Yeah.
talking
for the
about
Allman Brothers
A
band.
floor seat was $250 face before fees.
That's my favorite band of all time, and I'm just sitting here in disgust. I know some of the folks involved in this, and it's disappointing as just as a fan to I want to be involved in this. I want to go to this. I want to attend this. I don't have access to tickets, obviously, and then on top of that, if I did, what are they running for on StubHub now? Or?
$1,000 for a floor seat.
You're talking about a band that's famous for going to the Beacon and playing 10 and multiple, massive runs in New York, and for them to go back to that city that's kind of given them, such an amazing and solid fan base, reminiscent of the East Coast Dead fan base and all that stuff. To kind of go back there and say, yeah, we're gonna kind of come back and do this and celebrate this music. But it's going to cost you $250 a pop. It's kind of a slap in the face. But that's not to say that, based on what we're talking about, Dead and Company and other bands aren't doing that.
It's our scene is full of them. It's sad.
Nostalgia ain't cheap.
Yep.
I thought that nostalgia was going to end after Desert Trip, but it totally didn't. So
I don't know. What
like
that
the
is.
whole nostalgia thing. Well, the Desert Trip was the Coachella. For
Oh
the
yeah,
people.
with the Eagles and all that.
Boomercella,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
will.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Old cello.
Old Cella. You were there, right?
The Brooklyn Bowl Nashville is opening, and they just released a lot of their initial artists that they're going to have, including Bowl Live, which is going to feature George Porter. String Cheese has announced dates there. The Revivalists, Antivalis, St. Paul and the Broken Bones are all pretty much already dropped, and it looks like it's an exciting new venue in an exciting music city.
I have never been to Nashville. I would really like to get there very soon.
We should go down
too.
there. It's
I think
great.
it
Field
would,
trip?
it would not be a bad place to do a
Do a
live
podcast.
version of the
trip?
podcast.
We can, that's all tax deductible.
When is that?
End of June,
End of June.
because they've got 6 months off. Yeah.
It's a small room, though. It's
It's
1,400
yeah.
capacity.
1,400.
Yeah. So small, intimate.
So String Cheese
How's
should,
that
should be
relate
able
to
to
the
sell
other
that out.
Brooklyn Bowls? Is it
This
similar?
one over here in Vegas was like 2,000.
2,000 in Vegas? Okay. Copy.
Well, we've talked about this before, but it now is confirmed. August 14th through the 16th, Fish will be having a 3-day festival in Atlantic City on the beach.
Is it a festival?
It is, it's the 3-day run.
I thought there was a response by somebody that it was actually it's like 3 separate shows.
We will see. Details are still to come out, but Live Nation has announced that there will be 3 Fish shows, August 14th through 16th.
That was some random dude in Atlantic
Who's-
City
who-
that announced that.
Who's going?
It's 2 weeks before Dick's, not me.
It's a tough one.
Okay, a lot of silence from the parents.
I got a baby!
If they announce a real festival, then
You know-
I think it's on the table.
You know where I'm going?
Where's that?
This year?
Where's that?
I'm going to the fucking gorge. Because it's fucking time.
It is gorgeous.
Sick of having arguments with people saying, go you red backed. And I'm like, okay, let me find out.
Neil Casal Music Foundation has been announced. Moving on from Fish for the delight of everybody else in the room.
Mostly right.
Still not a ton of info on this, but there is a Neil Casal Music Foundation that has been announced. We imagine that they'll be involved in the music scene and promoting different things that relate to wellness, mental wellness and stuff like that, I would imagine.
First Friday at 5 Points Jazz Hop started last week. This includes live jazz for free at 3 different venues around 5 Points. They're trying to reinvigorate what was once a very legendary jazz-oriented neighborhood.
That's great,
So
man.
the venues are Spangalang Brewery, Dunbar Kitchen and Tap, and then I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a beer hall called Goed Zur.
We should go to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of jazz history down there.
Oh,
Brett.
absolutely. Well, and
Like some
to
of jazz.
culminate, it starts with the Rosen Lounge, which is a 107-year-old hotel, which is now owned by Chauncey Billups, who is a former CU Buff and Nuggets fan, or Nuggets
Didn't he play
point
for the
guard.
Pistons?
He played for the Pistons as well. Won a championship with the Pistons.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Wonderful.
He's
Future Hall
not.
of Famer.
He is not a future
Future.
Hall of
Chauncey's
Famer.
doing some.
No chance. He'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Total future.
You're wrong.
If you're
Hold on a second. So there's a rich history down there of jazz, including at Cervantes, which used to be an old jazz hall, as far as I understand it. I'm really glad to hear they're doing that. And the first Fridays over on Santa Fe are packed and awesome and a lot of fun. So to be able to break it up kind of with all the new folks in town, that'll be really cool, man. We should go check that out.
I agree.
Hasbro, the toy company, has bought Death Row Records. So anybody who's been wishing for a Suge Knight Rider vehicle, it's going to be a mashup. I'm just making that up. We have fake news segment. No, Hasbro really did buy Death Row Records
That's amazing.
because the world needs a figurine of Suge Knight.
I have
I just want my Snoop Dogg.
I have a Master
action
P doll
figure
that
with-
when you pull the string, it goes,
Nunchuck action.
na na
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody
Just hold Vanilla Ice
Yeah, I want my Ice Cube, opposable action figures, the whole gang, you know what I mean?
Can I put a request in for your Master P
Will you
doll?
get the Master P doll? It's in the Burning Man room.
Oh, I was going to ask for it
You
to
can-
be left to me in your will, but
I'll bring it out right now to
I'm-
show it to you
I'm-
before the end of the
I'm
news segment
amazed.
here.
NWA in action figure form would be a welcomed addition to any shelf.
My Master P doll. Hey, will you grab this Snoop Dogg doll too? You're laughing, but
I
wait
know,
till you see
I'm
this.
excited.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg doll?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
There will be a Grammy tribute to Prince coming up on February 15th, led by Sheila E. and the Revolution. It will include Alicia Keys, John Legend, Usher, Foo Fighters, Beck, Earth, Wind, and Fire. No one really in our scene, but I'm guessing it will be frickin' fantastic.
Everybody loves it, and those are some world-class players.
There we go.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, actually. Huge
Just
Prince
real
fan.
quick before we jump on.
in the box.
So this is my Master P doll.
man.
There's a string. I don't think it still works, but when you pull it, he says, na 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 na.
It exists.
That's the real thing. I'll leave
I'm
it to you. I will.
astounded.
You can't have it while I'm
No,
alive.
that's fair.
And then I've got a little Snoop Dogg bobblehead that I have as well. You guys thought I was lying? Yeah.
I didn't think you were lying.
Cute.
I'm
I did
so
not think
stoked
he
to
was
see
lying.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll play with both of them later. We'll take them out of the box.
We'll think about the box.
Sounds great. There's been news from the Red Hot Chili Peppers that they are going to be recording a new album with John Frusciante.
It's called California.
Awesome.
California, California, California.
That was,
write a
that was
song
a
about
bad
that?
joke.
I hate the Chili Peppers.
I agree.
Unfortunately,
Totally unnecessary. I agree.
Signed.
Unfortunately, we're ending the news on a sad note. The 2019 had a good amount of musician deaths. So we'd like to pay tribute to Dick Dale, Nipsey Hussle, Dr. John, Jeff Austin, Art Neville, Robert Hunter, Ginger Baker, Paul Barrere, and Lee Mendelsohn, who is the creator of the music for the Peanuts.
And those that you've forgotten in that, I'm sure.
Oh, there's hundreds of musicians, but I wanted to call out
I
those
wish you
that
could have
were in
named
our
them all,
scene.
Kevin. I wish you could have.
I
That'd
don't
been
think I
really
would
great.
have wanted to.
And I think you have to mention Neil Peart in that conversation.
Oh, and
as
Neil
well.
Peart. That was the whole reason I forgot Neil Peart. Neil Peart of Rush passed away from brain
Real
cancer.
quick,
Yes.
I know that's our last part of that
68.
news segment. Can we talk about a couple of the festival announces, or I see disappearing festivals as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Let's just talk through
No,
those
absolutely.
real quick before we go.
Festival announcements, we had Telluride Bluegrass, Summer Camp, Blue Ox, Hog Farm, which is String Cheese's new festival, and Bonnaroo all dropped lineups lately. Unfortunately, we had a couple of festival disappearing announcements or taking a year off. Those include Yarmany Bluegrass and Aiken bluegrass.
It can
Very
always
sad.
have solid lineups.
And
too.
Yarmany did too.
I talked to Andrew McConaughey of the Drunken Hearts and the promoter of Yarmany Grass, and I believe there's some hope to fire it back up. And I think per his post
Yeah.
in 2021, it looked like. That's one of my favorite Colorado festivals, and festivals of all time, right in the Colorado River up there at Rancho Del Rio. Their floating stage was really awesome.
It's
I
a
think-
great event.
I think all of us have been. Just about everyone's.
Even my cats. I brought my cats one time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Classy.
What about that Bonnaroo lineup, eh?
It's diverse.
It's so diverse. It's
Eclectic.
so weird what that festival's become, and it's so cool.
It's becoming like a kind of like a South by Southwest in the heart of the country to a certain extent, where people that are getting buzz are generally getting playtime and airtime at Bonnaroo. So meanwhile, there's still at the heart of it a little bit of that jam. It's all sprinkled in there.
There's a lot of really
Yeah.
good jams.
Oh,
Still in it.
Oysterhead's headlining.
Yeah.
And Billy String. Everyone's there.
Yeah.
All the big guys are there. So
Sounds like a really hot, sweaty time. With a bunch
yeah,
of-
we assume
Drunk
Jazz Fest
Anybody
lineup
been
will be
to the
coming
room?
very shortly.
Yeah.
I've been to we were talking about
The
the
first
first.
one.
Yeah,
I went to
the
the
first-
first three.
Yeah.
It's the
No,
second one for me.
I don't know why I kept
few in the
going
middle.
back. It's so hot.
It's so hot. And there's no trees. It's just like high desert with
Please
sun beating
rain.
down.
Just rain.
I saw Les Claypool perform there in just like the blackest long sleeve
Frog
velvet shirt. I was like, what are you doing?
So I think Summer Camp came out with a really smart lineup as well. Obviously they're always anchored by Mo and Humphreys, but
Your prediction about Oysterhead did not come true.
that's true.
There's still more artists coming, no?
Yeah, there'll be 2 more rounds of artist announcements, but second round we'll have a few heavy hitters that they couldn't get like totally nailed down before. A lot of mid-level bands that you're like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. That's the second announcement.
Can
for
we
Summer Camp.
isolate that?
And then,
That's a band.
And then the third announcement is usually a little bit of local riffraff mixed in with all those on the road winners. So I think you're going to see the bulk of what's to get really excited about for Summer Camp. Ween, Sound Tribe's coming back. I think a lot of people are excited about Tipper.
Are you excited?
About Tipper?
No, about summer camp.
I'm excited about Joe Russo's Almost Dead. I'm excited about, well, here's the thing. I've been fucking knee deep in summer camp for the last month. Every spare moment of my waking being has been editing a summer camp film that I hope to have at least, some sort of cut done by summer camp. No, it's a feature-length film about summer camp celebrating 20 years. So I'm supposed to premiere the film at summer camp.
Sounds better when you say we, like there's like a team.
There was a team. We did have a really good team. In fact, I'll do a
So it's
shout
a
out to
we.
Zach and Kevin and some of the other camp counselors that dove in and helped me shoot the bulk of the interviews. We did 40 interviews while we were on site. And Jay Blakesburg put together 64 terabytes of footage on hard drives and shipped them to me in a box for all the B-roll for my film. So it's kind of a joint production between Jay Blakesburg, the team that he's assembled there at Summer Camp Music Festival since about 2008, including some iClip stuff that they did where they did broadcasts, and then all of the interview stuff that we shot. So it's like a collaboration between Jay Blakesburg, his team, and the camp counselors. So it really is kind of a cool summer camp retrospective, and it's
Are you
gonna be
gonna
fun.
Are you gonna screen it at summer camp?
That's the plan. That's what I told him I would do.
Long silence afterwards.
No,
good, I hope
I
you're
did.
able to-
I actually got through the bulk of the interviews, and there's a lot of really awesome stuff. So I hope to share some of that stuff with you guys in the coming months.
Thanks for everybody who came on today, everybody involved, all the contributors.
And let me just take a minute to say congratulations to Justin Picard for shepherding 10 years of MusicMarauders. It's a pretty amazing thing. I hope for another at least 8.5 years of this thing to continue.
So generous. That's really specific.
Thank you.